Uncle Casey was right again. I told you guys that the mainstream media, they were the biggest loser in this election. I told you that this election proved that the mainstream media had lost its influence. Not only had they lost influence, they have now lost hundreds of thousands of viewers in the span of 48 hours. Yesterday afternoon, naive fans of the New Orleans Saints, most of which I would assume are under the age of 25 and 30, they were all excited yesterday afternoon. We're so back! We beat the Falcons! Donnie Carr was amazing! Darren Rizzi is our coach of the future! Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes! After the game yesterday, videos were circulating on social media of Saints players celebrating in the locker room like they had just won the Super Bowl. Now, I will be honest with you here. It was a very, very nice moment. It was nice to see guys like Alvin Kamara and Demario Davis smiling after a game for a change. The videos, they were very reminiscent of the Saints run from 2017 to 2020 where we would see videos like this all the time. It was a great moment, but that's all it was, a moment. As soon as the video finished, smart fans realized that the Saints are sitting at 3-7. Smart fans realized that Donnie Carr tends to play his best football when there are no expectations. There's no pressure to win. And smart fans realized that this was another Donnie Carr special. This was the beginning of another midseason mirage. No different than the midseason mirage last season when the Saints won 4 of their last 5 games. And almost made the playoffs. It's the illusion of success, and that illusion is busted every January when the Saints miss the playoffs again. The same thing has happened to the mainstream media last week. Over the last 4 years, deacons at Woke United Methodist, along with their pretend friends in the media, they have been riding this illusion of success from their temporary win in 2020. They've been under this illusion that normal people think the same way they do. The wicked weeb Joy Reid actually believes that normal people view everything through the prism of race. The Yentas on the View actually believe that the average man is attracted to the Boodle breeze. Why do you think Whoopi Goldberg is constantly hiking her leg? She is desperately trying to attract a man, not knowing that there's not a self-respecting man in the country who is bragging to his friends about taking home the whoopee cushion. Little Red Riding Hood, Jen Psaki, Rachel Maddow, Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo! Andy Cooper, Wolf Blitzer, woof, woof, woof. For the last few years, these people have been living in this delusion that they have the power to control the narrative. They have the power to indoctrinate to sway public opinion. As they watched the results come in last Tuesday night, the mainstream media came to the harsh realization that they have no power. When they woke up Wednesday morning, they didn't think that things could get any worse. The Trumper was back in the White House. Republicans had won the Senate. Republican puppets that they could control like Liz Cheney or the insufferable Mittens Romney. Those fake Republicans no longer had influence. When they woke up Wednesday morning, the Boodle Brigade and the media thought things could not possibly get any worse. But once again, they thought wrong. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Trump Trends. Trump Trends just released an exclusive collector's edition of gold boots and sneakers. These gold-plated shoes, they are made with premium Italian grade leather and handcrafted right here in America. There's only 1,000 pair of these limited edition boots and shoes available. These would be the perfect gift for the collector in your family. Christmas is right around the corner. You can give them a rare piece of history by making them one of the very few people that own a pair of limited edition Trump footwear. Now, since these are handcrafted with strong American hands, takes time for them to be prepped and shipped. If you want these to possibly arrive by Christmas, you have got to order them immediately. I think the deadline for Christmas was last Tuesday, so If you want them to arrive sometime around Christmas, order them now. Trump Trends is your one-stop shop for everything Donald Trump. So join over 30,000 satisfied customers by clicking the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL10. Save 10% off your first purchase with Trump Trends. Over the weekend, there was a butt bongo celebration at MSNBC. For the first time ever, MSNBC was able to beat CNN in the ratings on election night. 6 million people tuned into MSNBC to watch the worst election coverage imaginable, which is really an indictment on how far CNN has fallen. I went back and forth on election night between all three networks. Obviously, Fox News was the best of the big three networks, but that's not really saying much. MSNBC was absolute filth, while CNN was painfully boring. 6 million people. 6 million people exposed themselves to the rancid coverage that MSNBC offered. The butt bongo was pounded all weekend as they celebrated their success. Unfortunately, the celebration was short-lived. By the time they woke up this morning, MSNBC was begging for Preparation H. They were begging to soothe the hangover as they saw the latest ratings report. Mediaite compiled cable news ratings for last Thursday night. Now, this was 48 hours after the Trumper saved America from 4 more years of nonstop cackling. Last Thursday, Fox News averaged 2.6 million viewers. Now, that is a 60% increase from the same day last year, which is to be expected. There wasn't an election last year. You would expect all three networks to show massive gains in the ratings, right? At minimum, they should be able to show modest gains, right? Last Thursday, MSNBC averaged just 596,000 viewers, a decline of 23%. It was even worse for the Cemetery News Network, which averaged 419,000 viewers, a decline of 40%. But that's okay. That's okay. Those numbers represent viewership during the day. As you guys know, viewers of CNN and MSNBC, they're not home during the daytime hours. During the day, they are busy at their jobs, panhandling on street corners, begging passing drivers for pennies. During the primetime hours, that's when MSNBC really shines. Primetime viewership at CNN last Thursday night down 30%. It was even worse for MSNBC, whose primetime ratings were down 54%. Some doofus named Alex Wagner, who I believe is trying to replace Rachel Maddow and failing miserably, Alex Wagner drew the smallest audience in the history of the show. Do you guys remember the super nerd Chris Hayes? Chris Hayes drew his smallest audience in the last 8 or 9 years. 6 million people watched MSNBC last Tuesday night, and they could not convince 1 million of those people to watch 48 hours later. The question is, why? Why is MSNBC suddenly struggling when they have been performing relatively well over the last couple of months? There was never any hope for CNN. The polish melted off that turd a long time ago. CNN is simply watching as they are buried in the woke cemetery. But there's been a glimmer of hope at MSNBC. So why are they suddenly struggling? I'll show you a couple of clips of the Wicked Weave Joy Reid. Listen to who she is specifically targeting. Listen to who Joy Reid is trying to appeal to. Watch for yourself.
I'm pretty sure Black women have resigned from the Save America Coalition, Save Democracy Coalition, and definitely the Save the Democratic Party Coalition.
Part of the reason Black women are so connected, because Black women are getting into higher rates of college achievement and college entrance, even though the Black ones of the world want us out the door. And that's one of the reasons, is that you've seen this striving among Black voters that has been achieved, and the great achievements that we've had put us into the Democratic Party.
J.D. Vance was literally calling Kamala Harris the trash and said, we're going to take out the trash. I know a lot of Black women were incredibly triggered by that.
I think it's rather obvious that Joy Reid is trying to appeal to Black women, which is fine. That's fine, but here's the problem with that strategy if you're running a mainstream cable news network. Number one, black women make up 6% of the American population. 6%. That means that the Wicked Weave is excluding 94% of the country. Number two, and this is the main reason that MSNBC is struggling, the business of mythical racism, it is on life support. It's been on life support. I know Joy Reid doesn't want to hear that because the business of mythical racism is the main reason that she was given a job in prime time, but the business is on life support. The appeal of the professional victim, it's over. It is becoming increasingly difficult to build an audience based on identity politics. It's become difficult to build an audience based on lies and propaganda. Today, the only people that you're appealing to with woke ideology are the shitfucks on Reddit. Think about how far the business of mythical racism has fallen. 4 years ago, Jemele Hill was all over the mainstream media. 4 years ago, the originator of the term huge embarrassing failure, Bomani Jones, Bobo could fail miserably and he would be failing up. He failed on ESPN radio, he was promoted to television. He failed on television at ESPN, he was promoted to HBO. Tiffany Cross, Tiffer the Bongo Sniffer, she was literally handed a job on weekends at MSNBC. 4 years ago, ESPN was rapidly becoming BET. The business of mythical racism was booming. Anyone with the ability to fabricate stories of racism, they were given a platform in the mainstream media. Fast forward 4 years later, where are they now? Jemele Hill has been stuck on Twitter speaking to anyone willing to listen, which is no one. Recently, Jemele Hill was finally given another job in the media. Something called True TV is paying her just above minimum wage to host some show that no one is going to watch. I have no idea where Bomani Jones is. Last I checked, Bobo was desperately trying to make it on YouTube, where his channel is half the size of the dumbass that you're watching right now. Tiffany Cross, who in the hell knows what happened to Tiffany Cross? The point is, for the longest time, Joy Reid has been the lone survivor in the business of mythical racism. If ratings at MSNBC continue to crash, how long will Joy Reid be able to hang on? This is not 2016, where MSNBC can push the illusion of Russian collusion to maintain their audience. They have been exposed. They have no credibility left. MSNBC can no longer lie because no one believes them in the rare instances that they're telling the truth. If ratings continue to decline, what is MSNBC as a network going to do to survive? You tell me, could this be the beginning of the end for MSNBC? Could they be on the verge of a collapse similar to what we saw with CNN? Or do you think this was just a temporary ratings decline? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow.